Welcome to Sportslines Plus. I'm Pedro Hazel Jr.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And tonight we'll be discussing Super Bowl LVIII with the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Mm-hmm. But first, before we do that, we're going to do the Knicks trade. We'll discuss the Knicks trade for a brief moment.
Okay.
The other day, the Knicks traded, actually on February 8th, that is Tuesday, what's
Thursday.
the day? Thursday. Yep. Then Thursday, the Knicks traded two players. They traded Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yes.
For to the Pistons.
Yep.
No, actually, the Knicks get those players.
They got them from the Pistons.
Got them from the Pistons. Yeah. The Pistons get from the Knicks Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, Malachi Flynn, excuse me.
Yep.
Quentin Grimes.
And two future draft picks.
And Ryan
Arcia Danako, I believe. That's as close as I can come to pronounce it.
And cash considerations.
And cash, yes.
What do you think about the trade, Steve?
I like the trade very much. First of all, Alec Burks, the Knicks had him for 2 years. He knows Thibodeau's system very well. He's capable of either starting as a point guard or coming off the bench. Good outside shooter, plays pretty well defensively, and is a clutch shooter. And I like Bogdanovic very much. This guy, when he was with the Brooklyn and New Jersey Nets, killed the Knicks many nights. So really good outside shooter. He'll get more opportunities with the Knicks having Brunson, who will distribute the ball to him a lot.
Yeah.
And they're both veteran guys, one being 31, I believe, or 32. That's Burks. And Bogdanovic, who's 34. But they're really good additions because the Knicks have had a lot of injuries. And Brunson has been hurt. Randall's been hurt.
He just came back tonight.
Yes, amazingly coming back from a bad ankle. And I was concerned about him being able to play tonight.
Yeah.
But he is, without question, the best point guard this team has had since Clyde Frazier.
And that's saying a lot.
And that's saying a lot. He is an absolute rock of a player.
Yeah.
And the Knicks finally have a superstar they can build around, and that is him.
Yes, they definitely can.
So when they get healthy and they bring back Robinson and Randall and one of their other players back, I think they have a third player who's hurt.
Okay.
When they all come back to go with the new people they have on this team, Hartenstein is the other guy who's hurt.
Okay.
When they all come back, I think the Knicks are a serious contender in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, yeah.
With maybe only Boston Celtics to worry about.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Celtics, that everybody worries about the Celtics.
Yes. Well, the Celtics have a couple of superstars. They have Tatum and Brown and Porzingis, the former Knick. That's a deadly trio to deal with.
Yeah, and the Pistons could use those players knowing the way they've been.
Four Pistons have been the worst team in the NBA the last couple of years. But the Knicks may have helped them. They gave them three good young players. Fournier will help them offensively if they keep him.
Yeah.
There's a possibility they may cut him off the roster because of his age and his contract, which was, I believe, 4 years, $73 million.
What?
Which I thought was an absurd contract when he signed with the Knicks. Because his game is all about his shooting from the outside. He cannot play defense. He does not keep up with players defensively. He's a big liability on that end. And that's part of the reason Knicks finally had to deal him.
Yeah.
But I love the deal for the Knicks. I think it's going to help them a lot, but they've got to get their team healthy again.
Yeah. Now on to the big game.
Oh, yeah.
Super Bowl LVIII will be played between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Yes, the Super Bowl is in Las Vegas. How would you ever thought of the Super Bowl ever being held in Las Vegas?
I was hoping it would happen because look at the Las Vegas landscape. Look how they have the Golden Knights who won the championship, the Aces who won their championship in the WNBA. This is a city that is not known just for gambling anymore. It's a really growing city, great weather, and great
except for summer.
Except for summer where it's incredibly hot.
I was there many years ago.
And you know.
Yeah, 106 degrees in August.
Oh, my God. See, that's what I'm saying. Incredibly hot during the summer. But their fan base for sports is growing all the time in that city.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it's not California is a great place for the Super Bowl, and I like that very much. But it was time, I thought, for a change.
Yeah.
To be in a warm climate in Las Vegas seems like an ideal place to play.
Now, I hope that I hope that wears off, the winning wears off in the Raiders eventually.
I think it will. I mean, I like Antonio Pierce, great signing by the Raiders to bring him back and to get rid of McDaniel, who was an awful head coach for your team.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they hired Pierce, former Giant player, really aggressive, energetic guy, very smart. Players love him. I think your team might make the playoffs, provided you have a good draft, because he's going to inspire these guys.
Yes, definitely. Now let's get to the game. What do you think now on offense and defense? We'll do the offense part.
Okay.
What do you think now? We have two great quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy.
Right.
Now, what do you think they and the rest of the offense? We'll start with the Chiefs first. How do you think? What do you think they will need? We'll start with the Chiefs. What do you think they will need offensively to, what are their keys to winning?
First of all, they have to have Patrick Mahomes play like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he, even though I'm not a big fan of his, and I'm the first one to admit that, he is a tremendous star quarterback. He can run, he can throw on the run. He doesn't get rattled very often. He makes a lot of plays, improvises extremely well. He has to play like that on Sunday. Kelsey, who is in many ways like his brother from another mother. They are very close. Mm-hmm. They're very good friends, but he's also right now the premier tight end in football. And he has to find ways to get open in that San Francisco defense. He's a great zone runner. He finds spots that are open on the defense, and he's going to have to do that on Sunday. But I think one of the other keys for them is their running game. Mm-hmm. Pacheco, who is guy from Rutgers that they got, who's now their top running back, he has to run just as angry tomorrow as he always does. Mm-hmm. Because I think San Francisco will take some of what they like to do away. Mm. So the running game that they've improved, they're going to really have to use it more tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, what do you think the 49ers need to win Purdy?
I think Brock Purdy, if they can keep him calm and upright tomorrow, will be terrific. Mm. When he has time to throw, he's by far one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's right up there with Mahomes or anybody else. But when he's pressured, as he was in the Ravens game this year, his ratings really suffer. I would like to see him get out of the pocket and run a little bit more. He likes to stay back in his spot and throw. But when he runs, he's a fairly good runner. I'd like to see him run a little bit more. I'd like to see everybody in their team get the ball, McCaffrey and their tight ends. I'd like to see all of them involved in the offense. Ayuk, guys like that. Spread the wealth a little bit. Let Purdy run a little bit more, because that will get Kansas City thinking. They're used to seeing him stay in one spot and throw. But if he runs, that will open up more things for their offense.
Okay. Now, what do you think the defense, let's say for the Kansas City Chiefs, what do they have to do now?
You know what? Steve Spagnuolo, who is their defensive coordinator, seems like in the regular season he's a good defensive coordinator. But when it comes to the postseason, he becomes a great defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. He figures out schemes in every matchup that he's faced. Example, the Ravens. Nobody thought they could stop Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. They forced him to more than he ever was expected to do. He loves to run. Mm-hmm. They're very good at finding your weaknesses. I think what they will do with Purdy, they're going to try to get him to stay back in the pocket and come after him. They may have Chris Jones, their top linebacker, blitz him. They may come with corner blitzes. They're going to come with some exotic schemes to try to mess up his timing. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to have to be very aggressive, San Francisco, and not give up their game plan when they face them. They're a very, very intelligent team. They always figure things out in the big games.
So how do you think they're going to stop Mahomes?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Mahomes is almost impossible to completely stop, but I think they've got to find a way to get some pressure on him. Mm-hmm. They may have to come with blitzes. They may have to get in his face and try to get 3-4 guys after him at the same time and force him to throw the ball away, because he is incredibly accurate when he has time to throw. The other part about him that's tough to deal with is his ability to get out of the pocket. He will look like he's going to get sacked, and all of a sudden, he'll run out of the pocket, and boom, he'll throw one deep down the field. He's a very intelligent quarterback. You have to come with a lot of different defenses. Corner blitzes, linebacker blitzes, they got to come with every way they can to get after this guy.
What do you think the Chiefs need as far as defense to stop the 49ers?
I think the Chiefs definitely need to slow down 49ers running game. McCaffrey is probably right now the best running back in the NFL. If they can slow him down, that will force Purdy to have to throw more. And he'll have to throw to George Kittle more. He'll have to throw to Ayuk more. And that will put pressure on him because he won't have his safety valve as the running back. But I don't know if they can completely stop him. It'll be interesting to see what they can do with McCaffrey. He's a special talent.
What do you think the special teams need to do?
Good question. If you ask me about the kicking game, I would say the edge goes to the Kansas City Chiefs because they have a guy named Harrison Butker who's been a great kicker for them for years. He's not quite at the level of the Ravens kicker, who I think is by far the best kicker in the game. But he is, I would say, a top 5 kicker in the league. But at the 49ers, they don't quite have the kicking game that the Chiefs have. But I think they can definitely put more pressure on Harrison Butker, try to block some of those kicks, try to get in his face as much as they can, force him to miss some of those kicks. He's an almost automatic from 35, 40 yards out. Okay,
now the Kansas City side.
Kansas City, I think, their kicker is not somebody that I know really well, and that's part of the reason I have to give the edge of the kicking game to the Chiefs. But I think it's a similar thing. They have to come after these kickers, both sides, try to mess up their timing, get in their face, maybe block a kick, and force them to have to maybe throw it and get rid of it. But neither of these teams have the kind of defense that allows you to get into their kicking game that much. But they're going to have to try to do it.
So you basically think it's going to be kind of a close, low-scoring game?
I actually think it will be close, but I think there may be more points scored than we think.
Okay. What do you think? I'm thinking it'll probably be a close game too.
I do too. I mean, if you ask me the score of the game, I would say, and I'm not rooting for Kansas City, I really would like to see the 49ers pull the upset.
Right.
But as the line goes, if I were a betting man, and I'm not, but in this case, I would say Kansas City 30, San Francisco 24.
That's interesting. I'm going to go with, as much as I would not go with, you know what? I'm going to go with the Niners.
Okay. What do you think the score will be?
Oh, it's going to be close. I'd say 27-24.
You think it will come down to the last minute?
It will come down to the last minute.
Wow.
It will come down to the last minute.
As a guy who is not a Kansas City Chief fan, I would absolutely.
Neither am I. But
I know you're not either. I would absolutely love if the 49ers pull this off because you remember 4 years ago they played each other.
Yes.
San Francisco had a significant lead in that game. I think they were up 20-10, and they lost that game to Kansas City. But different quarterback.
Yes.
They had Jimmy Garoppolo back then, a guy who looked like a promising NFL quarterback based on his time with New England filling in for Tom Brady. But in his career, realistically, he's probably better suited as a good backup. Yeah. Whereas Purdy looks like a guy that if he's able to stay upright in the pocket, he can possibly pull off the upset. He's got the calmness that Garoppolo didn't have. Right.
What do you feel about Usher being the artist for the halftime show?
I have to tell you, years ago, I didn't pay a lot of attention to the halftime shows until we saw Michael Jackson.
Of course.
Lady Gaga a couple of years ago blew my mind. She was terrific. I think Usher's going to put on a really good show. I'm interested to see who his secret guest is going to be. Some people say Justin Bieber because he's mentored him a little bit. But he's a phenomenal dancer and a great singer. And by the way, he's going to be performing in New York later on this year. September, I believe, 7th and 8th in New York at the Barclays Center. So he's going to put on a great show.
Right.
And I'm very interested to see how long it is and how interested people are in watching. But I think it's going to be a terrific show he puts on.
And one important thing we must discuss, the Taylor Swift factor.
Yes. It's interesting. I will tell you this about her. What I've seen of her, I like her because she's not the girlfriend that's all over her guy. Like, we know she's dating Travis Kelce, but she has a personality that's kind of calm.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of women, when they're dating somebody like that, they can't say enough about their guy.
Yeah.
And they brag about him, and we hear so much about him. But this is like a good couple that really seems to love one another.
Yeah.
And support each other in a good way. But she's more of a calm person, that she's just at the game, enjoying the game. She's there with Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany. And she's really gotten into football a lot more since she's dated him.
Yeah.
But she's one of those people that it's hard to dislike her.
Yeah.
Because she has a very cool personality.
Yeah.
She's lively. She's fun. She doesn't put pressure on people. She just happens to be Taylor Swift. And right now, she's the hottest pop star in America. Yeah. I was saying,
she seems to be taking the media hype seems to be taking it quite nicely.
Yeah, that's what I like about her. She's had a lot of pressure on her, especially now dating this famous football player. But at the same time, she's still a big deal. She does her thing. She was at the Grammys last week.
Yeah, I saw her. Yeah.
And she was great. She got her 4 awards, but she doesn't have the ego that bothers me that a lot of these people have.
Yeah.
She just seems to be, hey, I'm winning awards. I'm very humbled and happy that I'm doing this. I love what I do, but I'm not doing it because I have a big ego. I'm doing it because I just enjoy it.
Yeah. I think the NFL wanted this Super Bowl.
I very much think they wanted
Kansas City, San Francisco. You could see some of the calls that they made against the
Ravens.
The Ravens the other weekend, and against the 49 against the 49 actually the Lions. I think the NFL won it. I think a few of our friends have been saying this is all a conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, it's realistic to say that because they're very exciting teams to watch.
Oh yeah.
They both can score at will on each other. They both have good enough defenses to hang in a game with anybody. So
right.
I think, and then with the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing going on, that's another part of the game. And there are people who certainly don't like Patrick Mahomes, and they're tired of hearing his story.
Yeah.
And he's like, then they talk about, he's the next Tom Brady. Well, my line to him is win at least 2 more Super Bowls. Then I'll put you in that class.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I will say you might be the best quarterback of the era now because you won 2 championships.
Yeah, right
now. Let's see who you are 4 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
Let's see who you are when Andy Reid retires as the head coach and when Travis Kelce retires as one of the best tight ends ever in the game. I want to see what he'll be like down the road. Right now, he's as good as any quarterback in the game. But as somebody said yesterday, and I was watching this on SNY, they mentioned Zach Wilson. Yes, I know that's Zach Wilson, one that every Jet fan wants out of here. But something they said interested me when they said Patrick Mahomes was brought into almost a perfect scenario. That's what I see about him. You could have put Patrick Mahomes on the New York Jets or the Giants, and he would never have been this good. But remember, when you have Andy Reid, who is the 4th highest winningest coach in the history of the game, and you bring him in, you have him coach this guy, and you allow him to have Travis Kelce, and then they had, years ago, they had Tyreek Hill, only the fastest human being on the planet in the NFL. He had all the weaponry around him. When he developed into a good quarterback, everybody was there for him.
Yeah.
But he's very good, but he's very lucky.
Yeah. What do you think of Brock Purdy? Even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, What do you think about his potential?
Brock Purdy, I give him more credit because he was Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. I mean, he was.
He kind of, from what I heard, he came from nowhere.
Yeah, he played at Iowa State, and that's the same school that the Jets have their running back. Breece Hall came from that school.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like the 7th round, next to last pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Nobody thought he would be anything.
Yeah.
But what they did with him, they surrounded him with talent.
Yeah.
They put all the talent around him, and he's proving that he is really a good quarterback.
Mm.
The question I have for him is similar to Patrick Mahomes. How good are they if you took those weapons away?
Mm.
And that's a question I think you have for a lot of quarterbacks now when you look at them.
Yeah.
Are you really as good as your numbers, or is it because you have all the talent around you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like years ago when I looked at guys like Dan Marino, I think Dan Marino was a better quarterback than both of them because he never had all these weapons.
Mm-hmm.
He had good wide receivers, and Don Shula, who's still the best coach in the game, win and loss wise, but he never had as complete a team as these two guys have.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I want to see Brock Purdy 4 or 5 years also later down the road.
Yeah.
Will he be, if he wins this for Super Bowl now, he'll be 24 years old, which is one of the youngest quarterbacks in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If he wins now and wins a couple more of them, you could argue, will he be better than Patrick Mahomes in the future?
Interesting.
And I think that's a possibility.
Possibility, yes.
You know, Patrick Mahomes has had a magic carpet ride. Everything he's touched has turned to gold. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, ready for the game? Ready to watch the commercials?
I am definitely ready for the game. It should be very exciting. Should be a lot of fun. I think you're right about networks wanting this matchup. So now we'll see how it turns out.
Ready for the commercials?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining. This is Pedro Hazel speaking for Steve Ferguson, saying have a good night and enjoy the game tomorrow.
Yes, enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow.
All right.
Go 49ers.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, guys. I think that was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.